What's up everybody? Welcome back to my channel, the best place for millennials to learn more about career soft skills in the workplace. Now, a lot of people in their 20s are trying to figure out their career path, but don't really know how to do it, and that's totally normal. In this video, I'm going to teach you how you could find your career path if you are in your 20s. If it's your first time here, make sure you click that subscribe button and hit the notification bell so that you can receive regular updates on videos that will help advance your career. In addition, if you haven't done so already, join the Facebook group that I have called Career Soft Skills, where you can connect with like-minded millennials to learn more about career soft skills and to network and engage them. Hi, I'm Dr. John Tam, and I have a PhD in sociology from the University of Oxford, and I'm passionate about helping people maximize their potential through soft skills in their careers. So in order to find your career path in your 20s, there's really four really important questions to ask. But before I give you those questions, I want to give you a bit of a background on why there's so many people who are struggling with this. And so here are some stats, right? And I'm going to be reading off this because there's no way I can remember this off the top of my head. So most of us, when we went through high school, we took that mandatory high school careers course, right? And basically with everyone that I've worked with, that course is not helpful at all. And so for the most part, it's a royal waste of time and not a solution to the problem. In addition, high school counselors are outnumbered on an average of 400 students to 1. 400 students to 1. So think about that for a second. If they spend one day on each student, they can't even go through all the students in 1 year, right? And this is on top of all the other work that they have to do in terms of admin or setting stuff up and enrolling and dropping courses and everything. So basically, there's no ability to give any career guidance. When people hit college, it gets worse. And high school is 400 to 1, but in higher education, you're talking about 880 for small colleges to 1,575 to 1 for bigger colleges. And so basically, it's even harder to see a counselor there, right? And over half of the undergrads report social emotional problems like depression and anxiety from academics, and all of the attention of these institutions in tertiary education is focused on improving social emotional health, focused on general counseling. So once again, career counseling and career guidance is heavily neglected. And once people leave college and start working, what we find is even more astounding in the stats. So according to Gallup, which gathers all the stats for new fresh grads, 58% of college students say their primary motivation with a college education is getting a good job. But at the same time, 51% of Americans stated that they would change one educational decision in their lifetime. And so 36% would say they choose a different major, 28% would say they choose a different institution, and 12% would say they would get a different degree altogether. And get this, only 1 in 4 working US adults with college experience strongly agree that their education is relevant to the work and day-to-day life. So pretty much, going to college, you're not getting that counseling. Going to college isn't exactly always going to prepare you for the workforce as well. So even when you join the workforce, things are still messed up. So in Canada, youth unemployment rates double that of adults. In the US, the numbers are quite similar. Even if they do work, did you know that in the 2019 Deloitte study of millennials, they found that 50% of working millennials are always keeping an eye out for another job that they jump to in the next 2 years. And that 70 to 80% of people report that they don't like their jobs and they find it boring. And so I've given you the numbers. You are totally normal to be looking at this video and seeing, hey, how do I find my career path? Because the numbers are astounding. People aren't happy, right? And before you make that jump, it's important to ask 4 essential questions, which I'm going to give you right now. So the first question to ask yourself when you're looking to find your career path in your 20s is, what is the new normal? Now, your parents would have told you to get an education and work hard and work in that career so that you can do that career for the rest of your life. But that's actually outdated information. That is so yesteryear. What the new data is telling us, and this came out in the 2018 US Bureau of Labor and Statistics, it estimated that each person throughout their lifetime will have 12 to 15 careers. Careers. I'm not talking about a job. I'm talking about a career. right? And so a career would be education, and a job would be teacher, teaching assistant, principal, right? These are jobs within the education career. And so throughout a person's lifetime, they're going to go through 12 to 15 careers. So if you average it out to 2 to 3 jobs in each career, you can do the numbers, right? It's pretty much like easily 20 to 40 jobs throughout your lifetime. And so if you're looking at these kind of numbers, what does that mean? That means that most of the jobs that you're going to do in the future have probably not even been invented yet. And this is because there's going to be huge disruptions in the future, and we're seeing this already with AI, robotics, globalization, and future technologies that we cannot predict. And so what that means is the new normal is creating that mindset that you are probably going to be switching to many different careers. And change is the new norm. And so what that means is that self-awareness becomes probably the most important asset for you to navigate the situation. Self-awareness of what are the skills that make you happy, what's your personality like, what are your values, and what are things that make you tick, because these are the common threads that you want to find throughout different careers. And so, for example, if you love writing, if writing is your passion, and convincing people and communicating is what you do, then that's the skill that you want to promote through each of these careers, right? What's that one thing that makes you go? What's that one thing that you're good at? Because self-awareness of transferable skills are going to be at a premium when the old industries inevitably start crumbling away. So I'm filming this right now during the pandemic, the COVID-19 coronavirus pandemic, and everyone's doing social distancing. And at one point in time, a lot of people asked their bosses, hey, can I work from home? And the boss is like, no, you can't work from home, right? And suddenly nowadays, everybody can work from home. Well, because at that time, it was not even possible to conceive a workforce that's working fully from home. But now, it seems like this thing's gonna last for quite a while. It's an actual consideration that people can go through and realize, hey, it's not that bad. Hey, it's possible, and what are the opportunities that are going to come out of this, right? And so this is just one example of a disruption that's going to change how the future world works. So asking the question, what is the new normal? Having the self-awareness of where your transferable skills are at and where is your zone of genius is essential to navigating and having a roadmap for your future work. Because at the end of the day, you would not go on a road trip without a destination in mind. So same thing for your career. If you agree with what I just said, leave a comment below and let me know what you're planning to do for your future career. If you don't, let me know why you don't. So the next question that I have for you to find your ideal career path in your 20s is, what do you need? What do you want? Like, what are you like as an individual, as a unique individual? And so a lot of this comes down to personality, right? And the personality, I've talked about it in a lot of my other videos, is the best measurement of personality is the Big 5 personality traits, because that's the only psychometrically valid one that everyone's using. Everyone's using it in research in the universities. So a lot of the other measurements out there are incorrect, and you can check it out in the video above where I talk about personality traits and personality types. But essentially, what is your personality like? So in this case, think of it using the acronym OCEAN, right? O stands for openness to experience. Are you one who loves new experiences, or do you like to prefer to do the tried and true? C for conscientiousness. Do you like to stay focused on a task and be really regimented with it? Or are you more of a flexible, where you like to multitask and juggle different responsibilities? E stands for extroversion. Are you more extroverted or are you more introverted? And in this pandemic situation, introverts are really flourishing while extroverts like me are really struggling. And I'm talking to you on YouTube because that's the only way I get to talk a lot. A stands for trait agreeableness, which is whether you love to put your own agenda first versus what you put the group agenda first. And that's a major aspect on whether you would find a job enjoyable or not. So if you're conflict averse, you want to avoid conflict driven jobs. And the last personality trait for OCEAN is N, which stands for neuroticism. And basically, it's probably a better way for framing it is the need for stability. If you're higher in trait neuroticism, you have a higher need for stability. And if you're lower then you have a lower need for stability, so you can handle more volatility and handle more stressful situations. So everyone has a different personality, and having this self-awareness is extremely important. And so I would highly recommend you to go and take a free personality test on my website. It's free. Just go click the link below and download it, and you'll get your answers specifically for work. All right, so there's just generic personality tests, and there's personality tests for work. This personality test is for work, and so you can take the personality test and figure it out what it means for you in the workplace. In addition, this is actually a major feature of my channel, which I talk about personality, big 5 personality traits, and how personality manifests itself at work. And so if you haven't done so already, make sure you click the subscribe and hit the notification bell so that you can receive regular updates when I have more videos coming out on this topic. The third question that will help you find your ideal career path in your 20s is, what are your values? What makes you motivated? What makes you tick? What is greater than you, right? And so one of the things that we found in research in a 2019 study by Deloitte is that millennials are very much driven by values. And one major reason for that is because they witnessed the 2008 recession, right? So if you're in your 20s, you're probably a millennial, and I'll probably have some, if you're in your 20s, you might also be a Gen Z, which is the generation after. But essentially, values start playing a major role in what you do and what drives you. And so having that clarity in terms of what your values are is extremely important. One very good way of figuring out your values is knowing what you naturally gravitate towards. So there are bases that you can cover. So who do you naturally gravitate towards in school? For your extracurriculars or for your free time? Who are your role models? Who are the family members that you have? Who are the friends that you hang out with? Because similar people will congregate together, and these really reveal your values, right? Where you spend your time in, where you spend your energy, and where you spend your money in is where you're gonna really find what you're really about. So people are really good at talking about what they care about, but what really shows what you care about is where you spend your time. So if you do a simple task of tracking where you spend your time throughout 1 week, you will probably have a very good idea that, hey, I spent 5 hours with friends, I spent 6 hours on video games, I spent 3 hours on eating, maybe I spent X hours on sleeping. I don't know, however you want to break it down. But once you break it down, you see where you spend your time, you see where you spend your money. That probably shows a very good sense of what you are in terms of your values. And if you don't like it, you can always change it, right? But then that takes effort. Another thing about values is you can categorize them into non-negotiables, preferables, and bonuses, right? They're not necessarily the ones that you must have. And by having that and laying that out in front of you, you get a very good sense of what's good for you. So, for example, through introspection and through knowing yourself, if you realize that, hey, I'm a guy that likes that the pay really matters to me, or my family really matters to me, or I like something stable like a 9 to 5, or I like stability, or I like things that are challenging, that is constantly evolving, right? This is all personality and skills related stuff that I talked about earlier. These are things that really give you a good sense of what will make you flourish. And so by finding a line of work that aligns with that, you get a much better sense of what's good for you. But an important thing to consider is that these values will change as well. So in your 20s, a common thing would be, having the best pay or having the best advancement opportunities is the most important thing, right? But once you hit your 30s and 40s and you start having a kid, then maybe these priorities will change and it will become more of a 9 to 5 thing. You want to have better hours so that you can spend time with family. Maybe it's about the benefits. And so you always have to leave room for change, because these things will inevitably change. So finding a line of career that you may be able to predict what that change is going to be would be really helpful as well. The fourth and final question you need to ask yourself to find your ideal career in your 20s is, what are your current skills? What are things that you are really good at? What are things that you really want to develop in? And these are really important questions because it points to the direction of what's good for you. One of the best indicators for your skill is what gets you in a state of flow. So that's the feeling of spending 1 hour on something, but it actually feels like you spent 10 minutes on it because you love doing it so much, right? And so flow is really what gives you the most satisfaction. And research has shown that money, once it hits a certain threshold, so in this case, in this economy, would be $60,000 to $80,000. Once you hit that $60,000 to $80,000 range, anything more than that would not increase your happiness substantially. Instead, what really increases your happiness is constantly being in a state of flow and being in something that makes you really happy. So after you've answered these 4 questions, the next thing you want to do is number 1, do career research, 2, write a career statement, and 3, draft a career action plan. And you can learn more about these steps in a video which I'll link below. In addition, if you haven't done so already, make sure you take that personality test so that you can get a good feel for what your personality is like in the workplace. You can download a PDF on the 4 steps on how to find your ideal career. Join my Facebook group, Career Soft Skills, so that you can connect with like-minded individuals who are interested in building their careers for success. As always, if you like this video, click the like button, and if you haven't done so already, hit the subscribe button and notification bell so that you can receive regular updates when I come up with new videos. Also, leave a comment below and let me know your thoughts on whether this was helpful and what else you want to hear about. And of course, if you really enjoyed it, share with your family and friends so that they too can benefit from it. Alright, take care everybody.